Some of you, what's an extraordinary life? It's having a big billion-dollar company. For some of you, it's not a company, it's 3 wonderful children that you totally love and adore and spend time with. For some of you, it's poetry. For some of you, it's making a difference in the environment. It's different for all of us. It's life on your terms. But if you're gonna have an extraordinary life, you need to master, number one, the science of achievement, which most of you are damn good at or you wouldn't be in this room, right? You know how to go from where you are, have a vision, make it real. So how do you do that? How do you get yourself there? You gotta understand the science of achievement. But I know so many people I get the call from, most successful in the world, business person, politician, leader of some sort, economic leader, financial trader, and they call me up, they want me to change something in their business, but I know what they really want. They really want to find fulfillment still. Because success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Who's with me on this, right? You make everybody else feel great. I mean, it's a horrible example, I hate it, but we all know an extraordinary spirit that took his own life just recently, probably lit up more human beings than almost anybody alive when it comes to humor and joy. He made everybody else feel happy but himself. It's sad. You don't want that to be you. If there's any gift he can give besides his joy, is the evidence of what you don't want to move towards. Nobody in this room is going to move towards that, but we do it at a little level. We die a little bit along the way by giving up what we really desire and believe in. And my goal is to make sure to see if we can wake that up. So, and by the way, fulfillment is as unique as there are people. Achievement, there's laws, right? You do this. Money, there are laws. Your body, there's laws. We all have biochemical, special, unique identities, but there's certain fundamentals. If you do them in mass, you're going to be overweight. If you do them differently, you're going to be fit and strong. Same thing with money. But fulfillment is as unique as art. Art is what one person thinks is beautiful, somebody else can think is ugly, and that's perfectly fine. Have you ever gone to an art museum and you see this big red square and they go, $10 million, you go, you gotta be kidding me. $10 million for that freaking square? I'll draw you a square. But someone else, no, look at the texture, the taste, the flavor, I can taste the paint from here. They have a different way of being fulfilled, right? Let's take a look at what will give you the edge. Who's up for having a competitive edge in anything you do? Say I. And it's not BS and it's not positive thinking, it's something you can test because the edge is what's gonna get more out of you. Second, I'd like to show you how to create a breakthrough. Who here has an area of your life where there's something you've struggled with for a while and you're sick of struggling with it and you're sick of making excuses and you wanna actually change it today? Who's got one of those in your life? Say I. If you wanna play full out, I can show you that. And the third element really affects the other two, and it's really the one that affects business and life, and that's the power of engagement. All of these are tied to engagement. And I'll tell you what triggered me on this, is thinking about how could I add the most value here? And engagement is one of those, new flash words in the corporate culture we all hear about, oh, full engagement, partial engagement. But it's really true, engagement plays such a huge role, and some of the studies that are out right now are mind-boggling. Have you seen the recent studies that they've done? 142 countries, asking workers around the world, how would you describe yourself? Fully engaged, partially engaged, disengaged, aggressively disengaged?
So no one writes a story about that. My father was active. He was a commissioner in New York City in the Human Resources Administration. Human resources. This is human capital being nurtured and established in such a way that you feel some sense of meaning and importance in your life because you have a job waiting for you after you get out of school. There wasn't any lost hope there. There was still some hope. And so he was behind the scenes on that. And he just knew that in the most turbulent year of the most turbulent decade since the 1860s, the most populous city with the largest ghetto in the country did not burn. And so you can be right and say, oh, I have this plan, let's just do this. If you can't implement it, you're just talking. You can say things that sound nice, and if people can cheer you on, but if you don't have a strategy to make it happen, a path, that's why I did my hand gestures, there's somebody in my way, and I want to get there. I can't just say, you gotta let me through. I have a good idea. No, that's not good enough. I can't say you're being racist, that's not, you gotta navigate it. I think high school, that's where you learn how to deal with difficult people. There's not a single high school movie that doesn't show the angst of the cliques that have formed and what the relationships are that they have to one another. It's this microcosm of real stuff that goes on in the real world. There are beautiful people, and they will get jobs you're not going to get, okay? There are people who are nasty. You're going to have to navigate them. There are people who you cannot interact with for whatever reason or another. They're going to be in the cubicle next to you in your workplace. So I think we undervalue the total social pot that people are tossed into in their high school experience. They want to say, oh, I could have learned more, but I had to deal with all these people. Hey, having to deal with all these people is now in your portfolio. For when you're in the workplace, you've got it. And research continually shows that the people who ascend to manager level and beyond, they know how to interact with, have high social EQ, emotional quotient.
I have a hypothesis about that that's
let me
testable,
hear
but
it.
obviously we're not going to be able to figure it out here. But my gut instinct is, if you're used to a high carbohydrate diet, 1,000% you'd be like, holy this is a revolution, my life is so much better, I'm clear, all of that. But because I don't almost ever have non-vegetable carbohydrates in my diet, because if I were to cheat, then I get it. Then I am a little bit foggy.
So the delta is less for you since you already
Correct.
started with a better diet.
Yeah, so from a clarity perspective, this layperson, so discount the shit out of it, but this layperson's vibe is, or hypothesis is that this is a lack of carbohydrate thing that gets people, non-vegetable based carbohydrate, that gets people to clarity. But there's even another benefit to it, which is it will radically alter your relationship to hunger, is probably a better way to say it than food, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, but
that's the whole psychology of the feed forward, of forward loop cycle of eating, and then the
I don't know that. What does that mean?
Well, it's just the fact that you get a rush when you eat.
Yes.
It's you're supposed to. I mean, and fat tastes richer because somehow, we figured out it was more advantageous, to have this because it's more nutritious, at least from calorie point of view. And so those things are set inside us. I mean, if it's good for us, it gives us a rush. Sometimes if it's bad for us, it gives us a rush. And I love the complexity of that. I love that animals get high. I love that some people think that...
Stop there. I totally am with you, but explain to people how... Animals get high.
Well,
This
they
is
eat
really
fermented
funny.
food. They bury stuff underneath. They search certain things in the environment that are, psychoactive, meaning it changes the way they feel. And what's unique about these substances, like cannabinoids or even nicotine, that when you, as a scientist, I'm reading papers and it says cannabinoid receptors. We have named scientific terms for cannabis inside our body. There is a nicotine receptor, nicotinic receptors. So that active ingredient from tobacco, I'm not saying smoke, but just to understand that the chemicals in plants have perfect locks for which they serve the keys in our bodies. We grew with the plants. We changed with the plants. We use the plants to our advantage, and now the plants and the food have gone the other way, and it's a disadvantage for us. And the biggest problem,
I don't understand that.
because we're eating too much. So before, food scarcity was an advantage because it kept us from it was intermittent fasting by necessity. And that, if you think about it, just conceptually, it's just another hypothesis. If during times of hunger you were less sharp or lack of food made you dull, rather than sharpen your wits about where the lion was, or where was the berry, where was the fruit, where was the shellfish in South Africa. If it made you dull, that wouldn't be a positive thing. So I think it makes intuitive sense also that just a little bit, and with all respect, I know people can't get food throughout the world. I've traveled the world. I know there's bad food everywhere, but at an intellectual level, for people trying to take it to the next level, is a bit of food scarcity can actually sharpen your mind. And neuroscience is trying to understand at the molecular level what's going on, what's swimming into the brain, and which receptors are being turned on. But I think it does make some intuitive sense. You know?
Let's go back to plants as medicine and lock and key. Have you microdosed or macrodosed for that matter?
I haven't, but a lot of people do, I'm an extremely non-judgmental person, and they have a biology, and when you understand them, you can understand which one may be of use for you.
I think if you actually saw regret up close and personal for one day, that a lot of the things that you're not doing, that it could scare you into doing it. I live a life already where people email me on a tactical level the regret that they wish they listened to me around this, that, or the other thing 3 or 4 or 5 years ago.
This game you're about to play, this field you're about to step on, holds the keys to change your life forever. Your mom's life, your dad's life, your sister's, brother's, kids, everyone's life, if you're willing to make the sacrifice to be great. Be great, it's simple, but not easy.
You need to use guilt as your fuel. You need to start feeling guilty when you're not achieving or striving towards your dream. You can use the people that doubted.
Open your mind to new opportunities, to new possibilities, to new achievements. Your future is in your hands, and your hands only. Learn to fend for yourself. Learn to succeed for just yourself. Want what you don't have, and work for what you don't have. Take your drive along with you and motivate your life in the position you've always wanted it to be in. You are better than the desire to change. You have the potential, the energy, the momentum to change. Force yourself to make progress, to achieve, to be stronger, to grow.
You're deciding not to decide. And so you're making a choice to be in limbo, which is why so many people are unfulfilled, because they're not doing what they want to do. If you're in a career that you're not all in, get out. If you're in a relationship you're not all in, get out. Be in ownership of whatever moment you're in.
You know, you can't allow it to freeze you up. And with that belief that failure means that you're nothing, you're nobody, you can't make it, you can't do it, it prevents you from moving on. It prevents you from moving on. And that's why I had to reframe this whole word failure. And I realized that you're not a failure. Okay, you didn't win that world title against Darius Mukaczewski. Don't mean you're a failure. So I came back stronger.
In that moment, it can devastate you. It can put you on your ass. But the fact is, sometimes the worst things that happen to you are the best things that could have happened to you, because you find something else as a result. So that's why I'm never scared of failure, because all it's doing is bouncing me back into the right direction of where I should be going anyway.
But they are also the gateway to something so special. It's what it means to lose 8 elections, be in bed for 6 months after a nervous breakdown, then to get up and do what it takes to enter the books of history. It's the power behind getting rejected 12 times before smashing almost every record and every ceiling imaginable.
I know that I can work out. It's what I'm good at. It's where I'm safe. Outside your comfort zone.
The reason why people don't put action behind their work and their thought process and what they're saying is because they lose the motivation. They lose that fire inside to keep the engines running through those hurdles of life, adversity,